Hey y'all, and welcome back to another Will I Buy It, talking about new makeup releases, top 5, bottom 5. Now, if you're new to my channel, this is where I took the inspiration from Samantha March, Angelica Nyqvist, and Amy Loves Makeup, where they share new makeup releases that came out the past week, and I kind of give my thoughts on them, whether I like them or not. And then I did a little twist on it when I started back a couple months ago, and it was inspired by Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner to do top 5, bottom 5, because these videos, I'd like to do them every week so I can kind of stay on top of it, and it's always fun to chat with you guys. But the really lengthy videos are just very difficult for me to be able to edit in a timely manner, so I pick just 5 of my favorite releases that came out that past week and 5 of my least favorite, and we talk about those at 10 products in the video. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different, and at the end we're going to talk about some sneak peeks, but that should still be relatively quick because it's just sneak peeks, not much to talk about. But there were a couple of sneak peeks that caught my eye and I was like, I want to talk about them, but I don't want it to take up a whole top 5 and bottom 5. Anyway, I'm rambling at this point. With that said, let's go ahead and just hop right into it. Alright, so let's jump right into it. We're going to start with a bottom 5. And this wasn't terrible, but definitely, like, when I look at it and see if I'm interested in anything, it's a bottom 5, and it is the new Looney Tunes and I Heart Revolution's collaboration. And all I can find is a video, but you can kind of see as they go by. Obviously, the eyeshadow palettes are what catches my attention the most, and they have one huge palette and then 4 smaller palettes to go along with certain characters. And overall, like, I think it's a really cute launch. It definitely, like, takes me back to my childhood for sure. But when I actually look at the colors that are inside the palette, that's where I'm just like, not really interested, not really into anything, and it's an easy pass for me. I'm gonna go ahead and click over, see if I can see any like still images so we can actually kind of take it in. Yeah, the big palette, I will say, for it being a neutral palette, it's very warm toned and has a lot of color within the warm neutral tones, so I appreciate that. Like, there's some pops of color, there's a lot of purple there with the warm tones. It's the mini palettes that really were a dud for me, as you're gonna see here in a second. Like, that one is mostly neutral with a pop of yellow, that one's super neutral, that one's neutral with a pop of orange. And then you had the one colorful one, but it didn't have enough variety in there. But the big palette is where it's like, okay, like I'm slightly tempted. I think if I go here, we can see the big palette swatched out in a little more detail. I think it's a decent job, but I feel like it's just too many eyeshadows that are all kind of like super similar, close together. So while it looks like it'll create a lot of pretty looks, I just don't need that big of a palette, and there's just a couple pops of color that really grab my attention. And then when I look at the actual swatch quality, that's where it's kind of like, it's a decent quality, I think, but I think I'd be a little disappointed, especially the lighter tones look like it'd be a little bit tough to show up or work with and be able to, you know, work into looks and be that vibrant. It definitely looks like it has some vibrant colors, but I don't know, as a whole, I Heart Revolution is definitely a hit or miss brand for me. I think they did a decent job, but with this, I saw it and I was like, easy pass for me. It grabbed my attention for a moment for the nostalgia, but when I looked at the actual palettes, it was a very easy pass. So hence why I'm putting it as one of my bottom 5s. Let me know if you guys had any nostalgia when you saw this sneak peek or when this was announced with the whole Looney Tune theme of it. I think it's very cute, and like I said, it takes me back to my childhood. But this next one is from Spoiled Lips Cosmetics, and this is a newer brand to me. I've heard of them, but I've yet to try them. But they're definitely a brand that every time they launch something, they catch my eye. And this is their new Tiki Man palette, volume 28, and I am just very intrigued. I feel like they definitely went one way with the palette packaging and another way with the actual color story inside, because when I look at the palette packaging, like, I expect really fun and vibrant and, you know, just fun, bold colors. But then when I actually see inside, it appears in the pictures to be a little bit more toned down and not as colorful. Like, yes, all the tones are still there, but the tones themselves seem a little bit more toned down. But again, it could be the picture, because I feel like depending, like, this is a video, it looks a bit brighter here. Here, everything looks a bit deeper, like all the shades go a lot darker. I like the variety of colors, though. I think that definitely intrigues me. Like, I like that you have a nice dark blue, a nice dark purple, you got a dark brown in there, you have those mid-tone colors, and then the shimmers. You have a couple, what is it, 3 pops of colors with the blues and that pinky tone that's a pop of color, and then you have the more neutral slash like pinky peach and, you know, bronzy gold type of colors. But overall, it's a very intriguing color story. I like the grungy green up in here. The lip impressions on it is super cute as well. I haven't even mentioned that, but that's always a cute aspect to their palettes. So I'm definitely intrigued, and I'm half tempted to pick it up because, like I said, I haven't tried this brand yet, but I'm always intrigued to, and anytime they do a launch, I'm always tempted to, because there's just something about their color stories, their packaging. Their, you know, packaging is a little more extravagant and whatnot, but not too excessive. And then the color stories themselves always intrigue me, that I'm always tempted to buy it, but I don't think I'm going to be picking this up. I'm definitely want to, but the sensible side of me is saying, okay, you like it, but you don't love it, Katie, so you can pass it by. You don't have to pick it up. So I don't think I'm gonna pick it up, but I definitely do like it, and I definitely would like to see what type of looks I could get from it. I definitely would like to see how the quality is, how I like that. But I think I'm going to be able to say no and let this pass by. So that's what I'm saying right now. But regardless, it's still a top 5 because it definitely grabbed my attention and intrigued me enough to sit there and kind of like look at the colors and figure out like, what would I put together with that? Okay, let's swing to bottom 5. This is from Kimchi Chic Beauty, I think is the brand name, and Trixie Mattel. They have a new collab. This is the BFF Forever collection, featuring a MVP palette for $45, the Bestie Signature BRB blush for $16, a wet blinding WTE highlight $28, and then a unique LOL lips or LO lips, and then lipsticks for $15. What else do they have? TTY lips with a mirror, $15, and huge girl fan, $20. You can get the bundle for $189. So a lot comes in this collection. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, that's a super colorful palette. But when I sat and looked at it, I was like, oh no, I don't want this at all. Like, I don't get like having super colorful, like neon, like look at all this color, like such, they look so bold and intense, and then pair it with like a bunch of neutrals. I mean, I guess the thought is that you could use it either for more day-to-day type of things or really glam it up, but that isn't even the biggest kind of like con for me with this palette. When I really looked at it, there are no dark tones. There's a bunch of those bright, vibrant neon colors on the side when it comes to the mattes, and then there's those neutral mattes, and there's no depth for me. And that's just where it comes as a hard stop. I'm like, yeah, I was kind of liking where half of the palette was going, but there's no depth in there, and I know I'm just not gonna love playing with it. And also, are these glitters? I don't think they're glitters. I like the colors of like this half of the palette, but the whole like not having any depth in here, which I was kind of surprised because I feel like a deep tone, like even a purple or a blue, would really go well in this palette. Some of these more neutral tones just look very close, especially the shimmers. 4 of those very neutralish type of beigey shimmers. I guess one's more brown, but anyway, I'm really nitpicking here, but I kind of like did a double take when I first saw this. So I was like, oh, do I like that? Like, let me look at that. I see some bright colors. But then I took a second look and I was like, oh no, this is an easy pass for me. Not interested at all. Not into any of the other products either. I think the packaging's super cute with the heart shapes, but they definitely look big and bulky, and I tend to stay away from bulkier packaging. But anyway, as a whole, this collection was a very easy pass for me, and the color story itself for the palette was just a miss. Okay, let's go to top 5, back to top 5. We're going to talk about P. Louise, and this is a lot to talk about because it's not just one palette, it's not just 2 palettes, it's 3 palettes, because P. Louise she goes above and beyond when she launches something new. I couldn't believe it. So she was sneaking this big palette for a while, and this is the Money Shot eyeshadow palette for $59. I will say, for the price, $59, to get all of those shadows in there, that seems like a pretty good price to me. I mean, I was blown away that it was just $60 for like both of those. I feel like I paid around that price for the Worldy palette, and it was just one, the one row. It didn't have the little pull out bottom row that gave you this, another palette basically. So that definitely surprised me. And then also they had 2 other little palettes for $22 each. This little green palette, and then this little kind of orange neutral palette. For me, I am so very tempted to pick this one up. I like the variety that I see in this palette. Like, you got 6 mattes in there, and then the 2 shimmers are very different from each other, and they're shimmers that go really well with those type of dirty, grungy type of green looks. I love the grunge I see with the lighter tones up here and the depth that I see with the greens on the bottom. I'm definitely tempted. So tempted. And also, bonus points is P. Louise launching a palette that isn't incredibly bulky. Like, these look like reasonable sized palettes. So I feel like that right there, it's like, oh my goodness, you should definitely pick it up, Katie. And $22, 8 shadows, not a bad price. This palette, it's an easy pass, just color story wise. I think it's pretty, but nothing I have to have. But you guys know me in greens. Yes, I know I'm ridiculous. However, are you going to be shocked to hear me say that I have absolutely no desire to buy this palette? It's just too much. And that's what shocked me as well, because I was like, I looked at this palette, I was like, it's a green palette, it's a grungy palette. You should be all over it, Katie. But I looked at it and I was like, too much green. See, there are some palettes that are just too green for me. Y'all are always saying that I'm always all about the greens, but this is just too much. Like, this with the same theme, same color story, I feel like could be like a quarter of the size, or at least half the size that it is, and still get the point, like the accurate color story across. There are just so many shades that are like, look at these 2 shimmers here. I can't read them, but those 2 kind of brownie shimmers, they look the same. The 3 darker browns, 4 darker browns, they look, for me, when it comes, maybe I'm just not that artistic, but when it comes to creating looks and stuff like that, having all those browns, it's kind of like choose one or the other. There really isn't much of a difference when you actually use them in eye looks. And then look at all these greens up here. So many, they just look way too similar. There is no way that I need this palette. It's a very easy pass for me. I am not getting this big palette. And also it's a big bulky packaging like with the Worldy palette, which I store, I still keep, but it is the most excessive packaging ever. So no. Not picking it up. The only one that I'm tempted by is this one. And I have yet to decide if I'm going to get it or not. I don't know. I really want to, but I'm trying to be sensible. Kind of like with the Spoiled Lips. Although this one's a little bit harder than the Spoiled Lips, I will admit, because it's that perfect type of little green palette that I love, but I don't need it. But like I said, I am tempted to get it because it's a P. Louise palette that has gorgeous greens in it that I absolutely love, that's in reasonable, sensible packaging. So I'm very torn here. Help. Okay, let's swing back to bottom 5 and talk about something a little bit easier for me to easily say I'm not buying. But this is from Gucci Beauty, and they're releasing their Gorgeous Flora palette. Sorry, Gorgeous Flora palette. And this palette has 12 shades, 6 mattes, 6 shimmers, $160. I don't remember how many times Gucci has come out with a palette, but I know they've come out with at least one before, and I do remember seeing reviews that people weren't very impressed, especially considered the price tag. So seeing them launch another palette, I hope they've improved the formula for $160 that are like different shades. Oh, there's some pops of colors, I will give them that. Pops of colors in there, but a lot of neutrals. Gorgeous packaging, I will give them that. And at least for being a very neutral kind of mainstream type of luxury brand, it's a colorful palette, I will admit. Like there's pink and purple and blue in there. You don't see that very often, so I will give them that. But $160 for this color story, no, it's a very easy pass for me. I'm sure you guys are not surprised to hear me say that, but I'd be curious to know if anyone else tried that first palette. Are you at all interested in trying this palette? They also come out with lipsticks, $42. They're very pretty. Like I'll give them that. Luxury brands can visually and just like aesthetically, styling and production and packaging for their product can often be just so like jaw-droppingly beautiful, but it's still an easy no. I can't believe I missed this one last week because it launched, I want to say they showed it the night before, like on a Friday or something like that, but this is from Colourpop, and it's the Colourpop palette I'm super hyped for. This is the Matte About Hues eyeshadow palette. 30 shades, all matte. And it is beautiful. It's not just an all matte like brown palette either. It's an all matte, colorful, warm tones. There's depth in there. There's lightness in there. I tell you, I'm a little smitten here. It's a top 5, obviously. As I said, I don't think I even said I was so excited to get into this, but it's in my top 5 because I just saw this and I was like, oh my goodness. Do I want to make a Colourpop purchase? Do I want to place an order? I am not going to be picking it up as much as I think it's beautiful and I would love to, but I have a lot of bigger palettes I'm trying to get through. I'm really trying to talk myself out of these bigger tone palettes or these bigger size palettes, but wow, it's beautiful. The only kind of con I can say or like nitpick I can think of as I look at this and just take it all in is that I do feel like it could have at least a row out of it and not be missed. Not exactly the bottom row because I love how deep it gets, but the row above that seems like very, very similar, but just a teeny bit lighter. So I feel like you could kind of cut that row out. But if you're someone who really loves, you know, just having all of the shades, all of the different hues to blend it out and get that seamless blend, I can see you appreciating it, enjoying that aspect of having a little bit more shades. And I know the biggest reason why I'm so smitten over this is because orange, yellow, green, and blue, those rows capture my heart. And there's only like a pink and a purple row that I'm like, yeah, I could take it or leave it. So majority of this palette are my type of tones and I'm very into them. And Colourpop doesn't do those type of tones too often, I feel like, so I'm definitely smitten, but I'm trying to hold strong, trying not to get it. Also the swatches look super promising. Oh, this row has to be my favorite one, that one right there. But anyway, I'm just gonna go on and on and on. I do really like this palette. I think it's a fantastic release from them. I'm sure it's gonna do well. I'm trying to hold strong though and say no, but I do really like it. Okay, let's swing to bottom 5. This is from Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, and they have their new Strawberry Fields collection. Let's see, it's launching August 4th, so already out. There's the palette for $34, liquid lipsticks for $20 each, I'm assuming, lip liners for $18 each, and lip masks for $22. So a good bit comes in this collection. Cute packaging, I will say, having the kind of matte tone to the palette and then the like glossy or shiny strawberry. Very cute. It looks raised, kind of makes me think of, you know, like Too Faced chocolate gold, that type of thing, that type of packaging. I think it's cute packaging, but color story, is not for me. I'm sure this comes as no surprise, but I took one look at that and I was like, yeah, pass. I do think, like I was saying with the palette, packaging is gorgeous. Same with her lip products are always so visually so beautiful. And then she has a lip mask too that's really pretty. I don't know. I gloss over lip masks. I tend to focus on the palettes around here. You guys know that. But gorgeous packaging when it comes to this palette. But it's the color story where I'm just like, no, not interested. Not my tones. I am waiting on Jaclyn to launch a really colorful palette in her Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics lines. I feel like she's done a lot of colorful palettes with like Morphe, collabs with Morphe and all that. And they've been really large palettes. But these smaller palettes I've been excited to see her come out with. But I want her to do a colorful one, like a super colorful one. Because she used to do super colorful looks back in the day and like really creative. Anyway, I'm still waiting to see a palette from Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics that actually like sells me on it altogether, and I would love it for it to be one of these smaller palettes with just, you know, 10 shades or 12 shades with a more curated color story instead of the large Morphe ones that she would do. So I'm waiting. We shall see. One of these days maybe I'll try Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, but not today. All right, swinging back to top 5. This gets top 5 because it just intrigues me so much visually. This is from JD Glow Cosmetics, and they are launching the Milky Way collection. They got all the planets, mirth, pregnancy brain, oh Katie, Earth, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Neptune, Jupiter, $7.75 each. Not a bad price, and just look at how beautiful these are. I love the Earth the most just because it's the most colorful and swirly and beautiful, but they did a great job with this. Like, I think this is so fun. I remember seeing them pouring this shade down here and being so intrigued, like what on earth are they putting in there, like mixing all these colors together, and now I understand it's the Milky Way collection. But looking at it, I want to see these swatched. I haven't, let me check. I saved this a couple days ago. Okay, they're starting to swatch some of this. This is some of them. This is the Milky Way. Which one is this? Oh, it's up there, Mercury. Okay. Couldn't see it before. It's up in the corner with the video. Mercury. So that looks really pretty. That's a gorgeous kind of goldy bronzy tone. Orange, gold, bronze. Very pretty. And then this is Jupiter. Oh, that's just so visually pretty. But see, as soon as you dip into it, you ruin the pretty palette or the pretty pattern. Ooh, that's a neat silver with the kind of silver gray but pink shining through. That's really pretty. Swatch time. I'm not sure which palette or which colors these are. I think these are just other shadows in their collection. I don't think these are the Milky Way ones. But anyway, regardless, definitely very pretty, visually very pretty and appealing. That definitely is like eye-catching. But the moment you go into them is where it's just gonna like lose their appeal because you won't be able to see that distinction. So I feel like these are just gonna be pretty to look at. And then when you use them, it's going to be, I mean, I'm sure they're going to be gorgeous because JD Glow does their, you know, shimmery shadows really well. They're always very sparkly and beautiful, but once you start using it, it's just going to be like a typical eyeshadow. They won't have the distinctions with the lines and all that in there, but still very pretty. Definitely caught my eye. Wanted to mention it. If you are curious, I do enjoy JD Glow Cosmetics. I've tried a good handful of their products in the past, and I've always enjoyed their eyeshadows. Very sparkly and beautiful. But anyway, definitely wanted to mention it. Definitely caught my eye this week. Okay, bottom 5. Let's talk about this. This is a collab between Makeup Revolution and Roxasaurus, something like that. I feel like Roxasaurus has done so many collabs with Makeup Revolution. I distinctly remember like 3 of them, maybe even 4. So this makes like 5? She's done a lot of them. This one is definitely a smaller one, a more curated one, because I feel like the other collections she's done has been bigger palettes, but a little bit more curated. But the palette packaging, I think the palette packaging is gorgeous and it goes with the color story very well, but it's not me, so it's an easy pass, hence why it's getting in my bottom 5. But I like that there are more mattes than shimmers, and overall, like I said, visually speaking, packaging wise, it's a very pretty collection, and like the artwork on here is just so beautiful and eye-catching. But it's not a color story I'm into, but I was surprised when I saw that it was a collab with Roxasaurus. I was like, I feel like she's done a lot of collaborations with Makeup Revolution in the past couple years. You'll have to let me know if you're someone who follows her, how many collaborations has she done? Because like I said, I think I remember at least 3. I don't keep up with her. I just recognize her name whenever she does a collab with Revolution. So you'll have to let me know, but that did catch my eye. The palette, the packaging, and the artwork is definitely very beautiful, but very easy pass. Okay, last top 5. This is from Melt Cosmetics, and they are bringing back the Morte palette, or Morte, I don't know how to pronounce it, I'm so sorry. But this palette right here, I'm a little surprised that they're not bringing back the Vita with it, the Morte and Vita, but I guess the Morte was more popular. This palette is definitely very unique, very beautiful. I heard nothing but great things about this palette when it was launched. It has such a unique color story. I regret not picking it up, honestly. Like when I look at it, I'm like, I should have picked it up. Like, you don't see those reds and blues and minty colors in a palette that heavily and focused that often, and especially like just the emphasis on all the matte shades in here. There's only 2 shimmers, maybe 3. The red tones, I remember people speaking so highly of it. I remember seeing people's looks done with it and just being like amazed and blown away by how beautiful their looks were. So it's definitely a regret of mine. And when I saw this come out, I was like, here's your chance, Katie, you could pick it up. However, I don't think I'm gonna pick it up. As much as I love it, it's like, it's an older palette. Yeah, to buy it for my channel wouldn't do very well, you know, just like with content-wise, like the content that I could do with it, it wouldn't get good views because it's an older palette, so it's not like I could recoup my money that I spend on the palette with, you know, doing content with it. So I was like thinking about it, I was like, no, better to focus on newer palettes coming out and just maybe wait around. I'm sure there's gonna be a palette that has these tones, maybe not exclusively and so focused as in the Morte palette, but at least has those mints, blues, and reds, enough for me to put a look together that makes me think of the Morte. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do to convince myself that I don't need this, that I don't need to pick it up and I can let it pass, because definitely anytime I see this, I'm like, man, I want to do a look with those reds in the mints. Like, that just intrigues me so much. I wonder how it would look. I feel like it would just be very striking and different. So I think that's what I'm going to do in the meantime to talk myself out of it. But it was definitely caught my attention this past week when it was launched, and I was like, do I want it? And for a moment I was like, I'm gonna get it, that'll be cool, like I have a second chance, I'll get it. But I'm gonna talk myself out of it and stay strong. But if you missed out on it and you don't have a channel and you don't buy as much makeup or have as much new makeup sitting here waiting to go as me, let me know if you plan to pick this up, because I know a lot of people were like, oh my goodness, it's been a big regret of mine and I can finally get it now. I'm so hyped. Okay, very quickly I want to run through a couple sneak peeks, 3 of them to be exact. This is from Fantasy Cosmetics, or Cosmetica, that I am now focusing on, or just got my eye on. They're launching the full reveal on August 5th, so the day after I filmed this. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the picture here. This is what they're launching. I am so intrigued. I think Annette got PR from them, and I think she has a palette, so I can't wait to see what it looks like and then to see what she does with it. But I'm definitely very intrigued because I've seen a couple of their previous palettes that have definitely caught my eye. All of a sudden my internet's not working. Oh, there we go. This palette specifically, I forget what this one was called, but this is really pretty as well. So I'm curious to see what they do with this new palette launching the 12th. But we'll talk about it next week, I'm sure, once I have something to go off. But you guys know now, and I guess I can chat with you guys in the live chat and let you guys know, am I more interested? Am I gonna get it? Am I not interested anymore now that I see the full reveal? But anyway, next sneak peek is from Pink Crush Cosmetics, and this is just origins unknown. But the thing that caught my attention is not just that there's a new palette coming from Pink Crush Cosmetics that I feel like I've heard nothing but great things about, and I've been very intrigued to try this brand. They describe their palette grungy with a pop of bold color. That's got my attention. I am so intrigued. So definitely another palette. I don't know when they're going to share the whole thing and show what the color story is, but I'm keeping my eyes on it, and we will talk about it as soon as I have more info. And last sneak peek, we have a little bit more info. Gourmande Girls Cosmetics is sneaking the first 4 shades of their upcoming ethereal palette. There's going to be 12 shades total, 8 duochromes, 4 multichromes. So it's not going to be like have any mattes in it. It's going to be an all shimmer multichrome palette. However, I have been thinking, like, you know, you could pick up an all shimmer palette, especially now that I have like the Blend Buddy Blends palette that I enjoy so much. You can kind of see poking out right there. I could just bring that one and get to use it more while I try this one out. And then also, like, do you see the 4 sneak peeks? They're gorgeous shades of green and blue and like this gold. I am intrigued. So I don't want to say anything until we see more of it. I feel like we're going to have some pinks and purples in there just looking at the packaging, but it's a sneak peek. We'll talk about it more. Hopefully next week we'll have a full reveal, but we shall see. Oh yeah, we'll talk about it next week because it's going to be available 8/9, so I can let you know next week if I picked it up or not. Okay, so there you have it. Those are all of the new makeup releases that caught my eye, or 10 of the new makeup releases that caught my eye from this past week, as well as a couple sneak peeks there at the end and my thoughts on them. But I can't wait to hear what you guys think per usual. And since I remembered, let's go ahead and throw in a little baby bump here, because I'm always forgetting when I'm filming, and then you guys ask about it. I'm like, oh shoot, I could have put that in there. So real quick, let's go ahead and roll to a little baby bump shot. Okay, so we are 37 weeks today, the day I'm filming this. I filmed this on a Thursday, just so you know. But yeah, 37 weeks. I am feeling so big. She's dropping down, which is a good sign, because hopefully I'll be able to breathe a little bit easier soon. But things are progressing. But anyway, yeah, that's I never know what to say here for these baby bumps. But yeah, this is where we are at, and I am looking forward to her being on the outside. I cannot believe we are almost there. I went to a doctor's appointment this morning to check on everything, and I have 2 more appointments before my induction date, and I'm just like, wow, it is almost here. Am I ready? I think I'm ready. But at the same time, it's like, lots gonna change once baby comes. So yeah, we are close to the end, and I know you guys are gonna be amazing about it, but I always like to just throw that out there that like once baby comes, things are gonna be a little bit different and quiet on YouTube for a little while, but I am trying to pre-film some content because with me and my kids, I mean, every kid's different, so I don't know, but with me and my kids, I tend to have a lot of time to edit when they first get here because I'm up a lot at night, or maybe they're sleeping on me and I can't do anything but lay there and whatnot, so I can have my computer and I can edit pretty well, but it's harder to film. So I'm trying to get some stuff pre-filmed now, and that way I have content that I can edit and maybe put up for you guys while I take it kind of easy the first couple weeks after the baby arrives. But yeah, she is almost here and we are so excited. But yeah, with all that said, that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so very much for watching as always, and don't forget to follow me over on Instagram. I'm LadyKatie92 over there. I post reels, up close eye pictures, tutorials, all that sort of thing. And with that said, I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye guys.